Roy Jones Jr. is one of the greatest artists who has ever stepped inside the ring. From the late 80s to the early 2000s, he didn't just knock his opponents out. He made them look foolish. Roy amassed a collection of belts, never forgetting to find ways to surprise the fans.
Let me tell you, that first left hook hurt Griffin.
Today, we will review the best works of Roy Jones Jr., the four-division world champion who effortlessly moves the edges of reality. Roy Jones Jr. was born into a family of fighters. His father, Roy Jones Sr., was a Vietnam veteran and pro boxer during the 1970s. Roy's father was extremely tough, strict, and oppressive towards him. Roy Jr. expressed that he experienced constant fear and pain throughout each day. He was so scared of his father, who would pull up in his truck and immediately search for any mistakes he had made. There seemed to be no respite, no valid explanation, and no avenue for escape from this relentless cycle. At times, he even contemplated that enduring physical harm or death might have been preferable to the life he was living.
Still, you got beaten sometimes 3 times in that same day. I have marks on my arms now that are from beatings that I got when I was a kid.
After becoming a coach, Roy Jones Sr. focused on teaching his son the classic nonstop style that he'd become known for. As a teen, the young champ traveled the world, winning every major amateur title. His early success earned Roy a spot at the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. After not losing a moment of his qualifier bouts, Jones Jr. made it to the finals against Park Si-hoon. Just like the previous bouts, Roy made easy work of Park. The American fighter's flurries made the official step in and give Park a standing 8 count in the second round. Fight fans witnessed the biggest robbery in Olympic history as Park was declared the winner. Si-hoon even apologized to Roy and called him the clear winner.
2 or 3 days later, I started to realize that, this is why, again, you have to have faith in God. No way could the worst thing that I thought ever happened to me turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
After the historical robbery at the Olympics, Roy Jones Jr. moved on to the pro ranks. Roy Jones Jr. made his pro debut in May 1989 against an opponent named Ricky Randall. The large crowd saw Jones Jr. unleash a powerful left hook in the second round to end the fight. A punch that would become Roy's trademark shot. This win cemented the beginning of a path of destruction unlike anything ever witnessed in boxing. His next 19 opponents would face a superior athlete with knockout power in both hands. Jones stopped everyone that was put in front of him.
And still undefeated, Roy Jones!
His first early test was his 15th fight against former world welterweight champion Jorge Vaca. Roy's first pay-per-view bout was held in the historic Madison Square Garden. In the first round, Roy would find the mark with his legendary left hook to earn the knockout.
It is Crockett. 1, 2, and down he goes.
This was Roy's "I'm him" moment and put the boxing world on notice. 1992 was Roy's third full year as a pro boxer. He held an impressive 19-0 record with 18 knockouts going into his first world title bout. The power-punching phenom faced contender Percy Harris for the vacant WBC Continental America's super middleweight title. The talented fight style and slick movement put Harris on his heels from the first bell. After punishing Harris for 4 rounds and landing 3 knockdowns, Roy found the KO at the end of the 4th. The young boxing star was on the rise, and his next world title bout occurred just 5 months later. Roy faced Bernard Hopkins, an executioner with a 22-fight win streak, for his second world title match in the middleweight division. Hopkins would have strong showings, but Jones clearly controlled the pace and landed more shots.
Right hand by Jones.
Apparently that night, the executioner had forgotten to sharpen the blade. After 12 rounds, the judges awarded Roy a decision and his second world title.
Roy Jones Jr.
At 22-0 with 2 world titles, Jones had yet to reach the pinnacle of his fighting career. Roy's third shot at a world title would again be no walk in the park. He faced another future boxing legend and reigning IBF super middleweight champ, James Toney. Toney landed some good shots.
Good counter left hook there from Toney.
But Roy was in his prime.
Oh, big left hook, and down goes Toney.
His speed
And they're piling up for Jones, the challenger. He backs Toney up.
and precision were the deciding factors as he won his third world title.
Champion of the world, Roy Jones.
These career achievements would be the highlights for many fighters, but we're just scratching the surface of Jones Jr.'s greatness. Roy would continue fighting great boxers of the 90s like Vinny Pazienza, that, after a series of knockdowns, in the 6th, went straight to Roy Jones's Hall of Humiliations.
Run in there. Gets there.
And Tony Thornton, who fell in the 3rd, en route to defending his IBF title 5 times. In October 1996, Jones found himself in a match against the undefeated Bryce Brannan. With a disregard for moral boundaries, Roy displayed both extravagance and intrigue, mocking his opponent as he sent him to the canvas not once, but twice. Despite Jones pleading with the referee to show mercy on Bryant, his request was denied.
Tattoos Brannan. And then Jones says, look, you want more? Okay.
Consequently, it took Brannan a considerable amount of time to recover from the severe knockout inflicted upon him. After dominating the middle and super middleweight divisions, the superstar Roy set his sights on the light heavyweight division. Roy faced Jamaican fighter Mike McCallum, who was a multi-time world champion. This would not be a highlight KO finish, but a tactical battle. The opponent was game, but Roy possessed the era's style, speed, and conditioning.
Whoa, just as I said that.
Junior earned a unanimous decision over McCallum to become a champion of 3 weight divisions. Roy's first light heavyweight defense came against world title challenger Montel Griffin. The power-punching challenger also came into the bout undefeated, with a record of 18-0.
Begins.
In the early moments of their bout, Griffin had a good formula to beat Roy,
Roy Jones has not thrown a punch.
pressing the action and going after the champion's body in the early rounds.
Is like lightning.
That was until Jones picked up the pace and started attacking, blitzing the challenger in the 7th with a crisp hook to drop the power-punching challenger.
Gotta stop winking at Griffiths. Good left hook by Jones.
After landing the knockdown,
His white trunks with black trim. And there's a knockdown.
the knockout artist Jones was on the hunt to finish the fight. As Griffin went down in the 9th round, Jones made a catastrophic error. Roy landed a flush hook while Montel was on one knee. Griffin couldn't continue, which disqualified Roy and cost him his world title. Years later, Roy Jones reminisced about how he felt after suffering his first pro loss.
I got disqualified again, just like at the Olympics. Probably a devastating moment of my career because I never wanted to have a loss.
Frustrated and angry, Superman Jones Jr. vowed to get his title back and finish Griffin. Their rematch occurred 5 months later, and Roy promised to make it a short fight. The champ would come through on his promise and get Griffin out there in the first round with his leaping left hook.
Left hook hurt Griffin.
Now that Roy took his WBC light heavyweight title back, he resumed his quest to become undisputed champion. He spent the prime of his career retaining and gaining major boxing titles. The craziest thing about Roy Jones in his prime was just how ahead of everyone else he was. He was a showman who aimed to please the crowd and deliver the knockout. But even when he couldn't get the knockout, Jones still put on boxing master classes. For an example, just look at Roy's unifying title bout against champion Reggie Johnson in 1999. Reggie was the owner of the IBF World Light Heavyweight Championship, the belt that Jones was missing to become a unified champion and achieve legendary status. This bout was all Jones.
1 minute down, hard right hand by Jones, and Johnson goes straight on.
As he repeatedly snapped off powerful counter combos on Johnson.
Happens so quickly that you just can't duck. Second knockdown in 3 rounds. Second time Johnson's been knocked.
After a one-sided battering, Jones became the first undisputed boxing champion in 15 years.
Roy Jones Jr.
We were all witnesses to the greatness of the Roy Jones Jr. era, an era that still had numerous more moments to come in his iconic career. 2 career moments would occur when Roy met Glenn Kelly, an undefeated Australian boxer. In the 7th round, Roy would hit one of the iconic moves of his career.
Yes, he would, but it's not his nature.
He put his hands to his side and slipped Kelly's punch to land the legendary counter right knockout punch.
Because of the style of the opponent or whatever. Shane Mosley learned that last Saturday night. Once again.
Roy faced another test after facing Clinton Woods and throttling the challenger for 6 rounds.
And you wonder how much of this Clinton Woods is going to want to take. Because now
He decided to leap for greatness and moved up to heavyweight to face John Ruiz, the WBA heavyweight champion. Jones came out fearless, tagging Ruiz early and keeping his trademark high pace.
it's a left in return, and they're fighting in the center of
Ruiz would answer Jones and test his chin with a heavyweight right hand.
And Ruiz comes back with his own left hook.
Roy took it like the champ he is, and a heavyweight war broke out. This bout was non-stop action.
He's stuck.
Even at heavyweight, Roy was lightning quick,
Straight right hand.
going in and out, countering with his patented leaping punches and hooks.
And now Jones looks to do it again.
Roy would even work Ruiz's body.
Don't let it, if the referee breaks you up, go.
But even with Roy constantly landing, Ruiz stood in and landed his own shots.
Full years with 2 or 3 title defenses in which Jones didn't lose a round.
Everyone knew Roy Jones Jr. had made history again when the final bell sounded, becoming World Heavyweight Champion and Multi-Weight Class Champion.
Heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
On top of being the best boxer in the world, the champ proved that everything he touched turned to gold. He would try his hand at acting and became a multi-platinum rap artist. Roy's biggest hit was the classic Can't Be Touched, released in 2004. The champ was on top of the world and had numerous fight offers, even a big match with heavyweight legend Iron Mike Tyson. Instead, Jones decided to return to light heavyweight to fight a rising star in Antonio Tarver. This was the second meeting between the two, as Jones won their previous bout at amateur. The newest star of the light heavyweight division was a long southpaw fighter with a killer jab. As the fight began, Tarver showed no fear of Jones.
To land something big, his left hand over the top.
He kept his stance,
One up the light heavyweight.
snapping his piston-like jab,
At the same time,
and brushed off the noticeably slower champion.
Jab to the body.
Towards the end of the first round, the southpaw found the range and dropped a hammer on Roy.
Tarver lands another left, goes twice to the body.
As the bout continued, Tarver would continue to be the more aggressive fighter.
Manages to get in a left up the corner.
Fight fans were shocked to see a more hesitant Roy Jones Jr.
He hits you, but yet he's too far away for you to get him without jumping out of the way, Tarver.
The champ stuck single power punches and showed his patented leaping cross.
And George has made the point.
This was clearly due to the massive weight cut draining the champ. The Magic Man opened up as the bout continued, throwing more blazing flurries.
Jones not throwing. Tarver banging away.
Realizing he was down, Jones switched gears in the championship rounds. He started throwing more flurries
Fight as a light heavyweight.
and took the lead from Tarver.
Oh, good body punch.
The two warriors would end the bout by trading blows as the raucous crowd roared in approval.
Basis to have saved his record.
Jones was rewarded with a shocking majority decision win that disappointed the challenger. Even those who thought Roy won admitted the champ wasn't the same undisputed light heavyweight king. Tarver lost his WBC belt but earned a mandatory rematch against the champ. When the two met, Antonio gave Roy his legendary line.
I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? Let's not ask questions like that. Let's touch the left, go to work. Tonight, Roy. Let's go to work.
In the rematch, the bout started the reverse of their first encounter. Jones was the aggressor,
These guys are really technical.
You have to remember that what made the first fight dramatic was
and Tarver was more defensive.
A lot.
And there were boos in the house during the first fight from time.
Roy showed glimpses of his speed pre-heavyweight, but couldn't find his shot.
Jones in November. Big on his feet and move, he'll do it.
Now they're fighting in the center of the ring. And
That was when boxing fans witnessed one of the most shocking moments in boxing history. As Roy leaped in, Tarver caught him with an earth-shattering left hook.
down before one time, but there was a perfect left hand.
Sending the champ to the mat, stiff. The champ didn't answer the bell, and Antonio Tarver shocked the boxing world by dethroning the king.
Still on Queer Street.
This was the only time boxing fans had ever seen Jones floored with such a devastating shot, and it KO'd him. Jones went on to have a bout with Glenn Johnson. Roy was leading the fight,
he's not overextending his punches too much. And if he can continue this on,
yet in the ninth, Roy was shocked by a surprise knockout from Johnson after he unloaded another power left to the head. Jones took a year off after two straight knockout losses in a short time span. In 2005, he met the Magic Man in their rubber match. Both fighters started out the fight aggressively,
In situations like this, and usually, Jones bursts forward and finally throws three punches.
trying to land shots.
Hard round to score, mostly shadow boxing.
The champion, Tarver, would be the first to get off some clean flurries in the second round.
Clocks Jones with a left upstairs.
Jones came back at the start of the fifth to land some vintage Jones Jr. flurries
don't even worry about a knockout.
and play to the crowd.
But they're trying to win a decision.
Good domination by Jones in the center of the ring.
By the end of the fight, both fighters would leave everything in the ring.
Much more willing now to throw punches off the ropes than has been the case previously.
In the 11th round, the two champions went through one of the wildest exchanges in boxing history.
Tarver almost falls over and big with the right hook. Jones is momentarily stiff-legged.
The crowd never sat through the whole fight as these gladiators battled.
Because he's tired.
Judges would give the decision to Tarver, which officially ended the Roy Jones Jr. era.
He clearly won the fight.
Despite no longer being the undisputed king of boxing, Jones continued fighting. One of the more memorable late-era Jones Jr. bouts occurred in November of 2008. Roy faced the undefeated Welsh boxing champion, Joe Calzaghe. Jones found himself on the opposite side of his earlier historical run in this bout. Calzaghe was the unified super middleweight champion, moving up to light heavyweight to face the legend. And just like Roy did when he moved up to heavyweight to achieve greatness. But Roy had no plans on letting history be made at his expense. He quickly dropped the Welsh fighter in the first round. But Joe bounced back, and the southpaw started landing punches and bunches in the third. Calzaghe even played to the crowd like the old Roy Jones Jr. did.
Round three.
Jones would come back to tie the bout,
As we go into the fourth round, McGanny's digging himself out.
but Calzaghe walked through his punches and hurt him.
Against the ropes. Roy may be momentarily hurt.
He's hurt. Straight left.
Blood above the left.
Joe pulled away in the late rounds
He's picked.
He's going to have to do the upending. He hopes to win. So far, he's
and achieved greatness like Roy once did. Roy Jones Jr. is a legend who was the king of boxing for over 3 decades. He has done everything a boxer can possibly do in his 33 years in the fight game. Even at 54 years of age, the champ is still extremely passionate about the sport of boxing. While he is still an active fighter, Jones is now becoming an accomplished trainer of world champions. There will never be another fighter as talented and entertaining as Superman Roy Jones Jr. We hope you enjoyed our video, and if you'd like to see more Legends of the Ring spotlighted like this, hit the like button and subscribe.